You may be wondering if I have become cottagecore. No, I'm just at the cottage. And today I thought I'd go through what kind of books that are at the cabin. But first, what is the cabin actually? In Norwegian we call it hytta, and you might think that hytta is kind of a sacred place for many Norwegians, because they have a very passionate relationship towards their hytta. It's a place that you often visit. It's a place where many generations might come. It's not a cabin, it's more like a holiday home many places, because the standard of living at these cottages have become very, very high. Even though the standard has become quite high, many of the things you do at the cabin has been the same for many, many years. One of those things are of course reading. Other activities can be hiking, board games, eating too much food, or just plain relaxing. And since I'm a booktube channel, I thought I would speak mostly about the first one. Many cabins have been around for a long time, and since they've been around for a long time, there are often a lot of books there. Because some might come by and bring a book, and some might leave the books they didn't like, and some may collect books at the cabin. The cabin is a place where you have the time to read, or you find time to read, or you've been thinking that you're going to read because you're going to the cabin. Naturally, people tend to read a lot more at the cabin than they would do at home. I thought I'd start with the first segment of books that might be the most common one, and that's of course crime, because Norwegians and Nordics are in general known for their Nordic noir, their crime and their mystery, so on and so forth. First in line we have Henning Mankell, which is a very famous Swedish author who writes crime fiction. Norwegians are famous for traveling to their cabin in the Easter, where you can go skiing and you can stay inside and watch crime on TV, but you can also read a lot of crime fiction in that time, and that's why this book is here. And then we have Camilla Läckberg, which also is a famous Swedish crime author. Of course we have Agatha Christie and Murder on the Orient Express with Hercule Poirot in the main role. And this is of course a very classic, because Hercule Poirot always is a TV series that shows up on TV in the Easter. I think now also, but at least when I grew up, and not that long ago. So that's as a must-have in many ways. The next segment I thought I would speak about is a segment I really don't know anything about. I only know that the books are old, because these are the next books I'm going to talk about. And nicely done, Susie, by Greta Stevens. I think these books are all from the 40s, and they are well used. But these books I thought I would read some of at some point. I have no idea if these books are children's books or young adult, or I think they're in that segment. Some of the title might suggest that they're aiming at the young adult. Love Conquers. And it seems very adult language in many of these. So I have no idea, but I think that these old books that you have no idea what encompasses are a must-have for a cabin. This next segment I thought was quite funny, because there are many famous authors in the world and many famous books, but in this segment there are only famous authors. The first one is Elena Ferrante, famous author, and then it says the author of My Brilliant Friend. And I think this is quite telling, because there are many books here by famous authors, but not really any of the bestsellers, and that I found quite amusing. This is the first one, and then I found Jojo Moyes, Paris for One, and then it says the author of the bestseller After You, and then it's Victoria Hislop, Sunrise, and of course I think she is most known for The Island. I don't have any thoughts about why it is in this way. Maybe people have read the bestsellers and thought they were great, bought the next book, thought that wasn't so great, and then just taken those books up to the cabin so other people can suffer. Disclaimer, I know nothing about these books at all. I think the closest one I've been to reading is The Island, which is supposed to be very good. And I'm sure the other books are also good. They're bestsellers, so they have to have some quality. Not necessarily, but I think they might have. The next segment is of course a must-have for any cabin or holiday home or whatever you call it, and that is Donald Duck, or similar to Donald Duck, because there are children here at times and they need stuff to read. I should also read Donald Duck sometime because I think that would be amusing, even though I try to read books these days. But no cabin is complete without some of these. As a sidetrack to the comics, we have Roald Dahl with BFG, and these are novels that I really enjoyed having here when I was a kid. Very easily read for someone like me. And these are the kind of books that you can pick up now and start reading again because they're so quickly read. And I really love the illustrations, of course. I think this might be my favorite segment of books I could find at the cabin. And of course a very important one, formative. And the next one is just one segment that appears because it's what it is. And that's the classics, here by George Orwell's Animal Farm. Of course, this is actually a novel that I really want to read and recently bought because I did not know it was at the cabin. That's because it's so small that it can hide everywhere. So that's kind of a waste in some way. Maybe one day I'll bring my Animal Farm up here and then there are two. So the next booktuber in the family can wonder, where did that new edition come from? To bring some joy and light into the life at the cabin, of course we have the simple humor books here by Are Kalve's Bibelen 2, the Bible 2nd edition. And this is of course an illustrated and quite funny version of the Bible. So not a version of the Bible at all, but it's a lot of funny drawings and a humorous piece of literature. So when you have been out hiking all day long and you need a break, and you can't really escape the home once more, these are the kinds of tools you need to get a break from your family. The last segment of books you find at the cabin should come as no surprise to you if you are Norwegian, and that is of course the big books of trees or wood or woodland or anything like that. And this book is just called 33 Norwegian Trees and what they have been witnessing. I can't really say that I dislike these books. These are the kind of books that I could like and could read some paragraphs of, but it's still quite silly. It's like our nation's dorkiness collected into books, if that sentence made any sense at all. But actually one of the most sold Norwegian books to Norwegians are about trees and wood chopping and how to use the wood in the fireplace and how to store wood that you've chopped. Anything about wood. We like to think that we have a very close relationship to the nature at least, and this just manifests that. But it's a beautiful book though. I looked through it today. Very many beautiful pictures. So the segments are finished, but I thought I would mention a couple of books that I actually really want to read that I found today. And the first one is Svetlana Alexievich, The War's Unwomanly Face, I think it's called in English. It's about women's fight in the Second World War, and specifically the women that fought on the Eastern Front. This is supposed to be a really, really good novel. I actually bought this some time ago, and I hope to read it quite soon. If I go to the cabin and forget the book, or that would be weird, but if I don't have anything to read or can't make up my mind, this will be high on the list for which books I want to be reading. And another book that I've seen around many places, haven't gotten around to buy or thinking about buying yet, is, and luckily because it's here, it's The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. And I know this book is extremely high rated on Goodreads, where I get some of my information at least. It's about a 9-year-old that is desperately trying to survive and steals books during the Second World War. And I think this will be a gruesome novel to read as well, but also I have big expectations for this book. It's one of the books that can't be bad. This has to be good. That was it Hope you have broader knowledge about what the Norwegian hytte is all about, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!